Origamic Solutions is the go-to operations management consulting firm for small businesses in the Central Virginia area. We want to share our 25 plus years of experience and knowledge with you to help you level up your business and navigate to operational excellence. Subscribe to our free monthly newsletter on our website at origamicsolutions.com. That's ORIGAMIC solutions.com. And follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook to access business educational content. Take off with Origamic Solutions.
Ladies and gentlemen, the voice you're listening to sound like the voice of God. That's Tim Bazzani out there. He's going to stop being an operations expert and he's just start doing voiceovers. So that's what you're going to do.
Multifaceted.
The man does. So on the mic, ESPN Richmond is the program here with Origamic Solutions. That be Tim Bazzani as well as Stacy Goodman. Welcome back to the program, folks.
Thanks for having us.
So Tim said you had blessed us in the beginning with the voice.
Yeah.
Tell us who you guys are and what you do.
Sure. So we're an operations management advisory and consulting firm. So we help businesses build a strong foundation for long-term success. We come in, we analyze problems with you, we co-create solutions, and then we work right alongside you to implement those solutions.
Stacy Goodman, this is your vision.
It is.
Well, how is it you had the vision, and now let's talk the reality of it now. What is it? How do you see it now? Into it as opposed to when you had the idea what it was going to be?
So the idea was to take what I knew and keep offering up the opportunity to create solutions. So I had gone from being a project manager to a process engineer, which are both very tactical in nature, and had then, right before I opened up the company, started doing more solution and development, architecting, and engineering. All of those words mean creating from scratch, and that was really what I liked doing, and I just wanted to keep doing it. So started the company. 5 years later, hired in Tim and Shraddha because I knew I needed help to grow, and now. I'm being very blessed that family and friends ask me, how's it going, and I'm overwhelmed with the blessings that God has bestowed on us. We are getting opportunities that I didn't even dream of. I've been able to connect with an ecosystem through Empower People and Tiffany and the cohort that I work with Brian Kinsey and John Rabel, and now Ben DeBoard is now on working with us. Those individuals has helped me to look at the company differently in a bigger picture. Tiffany brought me here to you. This was a whole new experience starting with you. And it's become one of the things that I cherish a lot, is to be able to have this show and come in and talk, and being able to have the opportunity to bring other people in and share, learn about what's going on in the community as well. As we had said early on, when you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, you're so focused usually on working your business, so you lose sight of what's going on in the world around you. So that has brought a new perspective to owning the company and where we will go forward. And now I have a new blessing with hopefully another, adding to the team. We added Beth Wells, who is a change management specialist, and she's a very long-term friend that I've had in consulting for 18 years now, because I met her right before I had my son, and another strange story to add to our mix. And then now I have a new former colleague that is hopefully going to be joining us and bringing a world of knowledge and connections, and I think we are definitely leveling up every couple weeks. Yeah. It feels like, and so as a business owner, it's a bit overwhelming. I'm just looking for sleep again. I thought I had done well with my vacation in June, but that's
here we
okay.
Are. All right, so Stacy Goodman is here. Tim Bazzani as well. Here we go. We got something to play, and they don't know where I'm going with this.
Are you ready to push the boundaries and take your company to the next level? I'm Stacy Goodman, founder of Origamic Solutions, and we're here to be your co-pilot, navigating you to operational excellence and helping you level up with love. Connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and at our website, origamicsolutions.com. That's ORIGAMIC solutions.com. Together, we will find solutions and prepare you to soar.
Alrighty, ma'am. What movie is that from?
Top Gun 2.
Okay, who is the star of Top Gun?
Tom Cruise.
And why am I bringing up Tom Cruise?
He was at the Olympics.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stacy Goodman. Yes, he was at the Olympics.
Gold medal for me.
Gold medal for you. And that's not in breakdancing. That is basketball.
That was interesting.
That was interesting. Alrighty, so the Olympics just happened. It just wrapped up. You're a big time sports fan. You're a sports junkie.
I do enjoy it.
Yes, you do. You're not looking at the Olympics the way most of us are as a sports fan or an Olympics fan. There's a whole bunch of processes in order to make that thing work.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, logistics that were crazy. Talk a little bit about that right there. Now, that's logistics, you guys, on a mega scale. Mm-hmm. But all of those things on a mega scale were
very minute.
Talk a little bit about that, you guys.
So it is impressive because, and you got, they say you have 4 years, but realistically, they announce who's going to get the Olympics even 4 to 8, 10 years. Yeah, it's a long time before because we forget where we're going next by the time it gets there. But like LA. So LA has known that they're going to get the Summer Olympics.
At least a couple years ago.
They've known that for at least 1 to 2 Olympics ago.
Okay. Now
the torch just is being handed over. What I just heard on the news was LA wants to have no car transportation to the events, all public transportation only between the Olympic venues. So we saw in Paris where there were, arson situations with the subway system, and when you look at the high level view of Paris and where the venues were set, the track and field venue, which is where they had closing ceremonies, was 25-minute drive from the Eiffel Tower, where they hosted the opening ceremonies and some of the events, the beach volleyball, etc. So the logistical challenge that LA probably has just with the only, figuring out how to move people to and from the venues with public transportation only and make sure all Olympians are in their venues where they're supposed to be, because even in Paris, the basketball games were in Lyon. That's an hour to an hour and a half train ride from Paris. So the basketball players and Stoop was on the bus and then on the train. They had to travel, and you had to make sure that they're there and accommodated well in advance to acclimate into their environment. So the logistics of moving people is one major element and we already know how traffic is in LA. Right. The second piece that I think in process that they look at is, if you look at just the gymnastics, right? So they have multiple apparatus, and who's going to be competing on which apparatus, and then they have to move. The gymnastics meets have a process of how they get on and off the platforms, and if you watch the Olympics, there are all these little people in green outfits they are just monitoring. I mean, just thousands of people monitoring that you went from the right spot to the next spot and where you're supposed to go and how you're supposed to exit. That's a logistical component. And then you have to manage all the spectators that are coming in. How do you screen them to make sure that it's safe? How do you make sure that, they get into their seats and they have food and different things of that nature? We've heard, there's always complaints about the food, but this year's, in Paris, it was hot, and Paris wanted to go with this green approach, and they did the cardboard beds that all the athletes were like, these are extremely uncomfortable, and we really need our sleep and we need to rest, and There's no air conditioning, so some of the countries had to bring in air conditioning, and a lot of the Olympic athletes moved out of the village. And we've had that we saw that in Beijing. We saw that, they've had it, and this is not the first time that's happened.
Okay, ma'am, can I
So where's the lessons learned here?
Can I
is what I
stop you
ask.
there? Are the athletes more pampered than they were back in the day? When they were in Rome in 1960, how many people you think said, you know what?
I'm not sleeping on this rock.
I'm not sleeping on this crap right here. I'm going to go to a hotel.
They are. Because now they're training in state of the art. Their whole life is centered around their diet, their sleep, their physical being, because that puts them at the top of their game.
And then we send them to the Olympics and we take them back to the dark ages.
Right, and they're like, well, I'm confused, So I think that is part of it, but it's also, I think it's realistic to understand that you're asking these athletes who have given up their entire life. They have given up social lives. They've given up a lot to pursue this dream, and their families have given up a lot of money, right? We were talking about, like, if you get a gold medal, how much money do you get for the gold medal? And our athletes get about $34,000 if they won a gold medal. That may pay for their logistical fees to get their family to come to the Olympics, if they win. And there aren't so many gold medalists, right? So I think that's just something that there's good intentions and then there's reality.
Because you look at, say, Tim, you look at like a Noah Lyles. He goes here to win 3. He wins 1, gets a bronze, goes home. What did that cost him, dollar-wise? You could just imagine.
Yeah, well, not only just the amount of money that they're going to win per gold medal, but I'm sure a lot of their sponsorship contracts are tied to performance, right? And, we're going to talk about it, but that 1/1000th of a second, and, Noah Lyles getting COVID right before he wins his bronze medal, which is still impressive to win a bronze medal at that stage, could potentially cost sponsorship money too.
Right.
And then not to mention the intangible part, which is the mental side of it. You're an athlete that makes all those sacrifices and spends all that time and invests, everything, and then you fall just a little bit short.
Because it's not like the NBA or baseball or anything else. It's almost like the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You got your shot now.
It's not coming back.
Yeah, you got 4 years is a long time. Unless you're LA and the Olympics are coming in 4 years. Then it seems like it's right around the corner.
But that's the question. Like, LA is a big deal for the American athletes to participate in. And Katie Ledecky, they were asking her, and Simone kept saying, please don't ask me the next question, about what comes next. They're older. And Katie's like, well, I'm going to check it in 1 year at a time. But, yeah, I would love to. But that's also going to put her as a fairly older swimmer.
Yes.
And we saw Driscoll this year.
He looked old at times.
Against some of these young ones that are fresher,
yes.
right? Now, you even looked at the basketball game. Braun had a little bit of wisdom showing in his hair and in his beard there.
All right, you sound like my wife.
They look a little.
How come he is? The
and
man
then
is over 40
you put
years
this little
old.
20-year-old from France up. I'm like, yeah. Are you going to play in the next one?
There are times you're reminded of your age. All right, folks. It is Tim. How can people get information about Origamic Solutions?
Sure, you can find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, under the Origamic Solutions. Our personal LinkedIn pages: Stacey Riley Goodman, Tim Bazzani. Also, subscribe to our monthly newsletter. Next issue comes out in the next couple of days. That's a great way to stay up to date on all things origami.
Let's get a sneak peek of what's in the newsletter this time.
Yeah, I'm super excited for some new things that we're putting in as far as community engagement. A big pillar of our mission is to not only provide services, but also be a community hype person, right? So we're going to implement some shout-out and highlight programs for local nonprofits, as well as rising stars in the entrepreneurship space.
There we go. Alrighty, I know you guys came here to talk about more than the Olympics, because that was...
Well, we're going to talk Olympics, but we're going to talk numbers. So
okay.
We're still in our newsletter this time. We're focusing on measurements, and we've talked about measurements in the last couple episodes. So I wanted to look at it from a different perspective, with the associated to a couple of current events. So the Olympics is one of the current events, and the election is another current event. So when I was writing the blog for the newsletter around measurements, one of the things I wanted, that comes to mind is numbers don't lie. Well, numbers don't lie, but they can be manipulated. And how you use numbers to tell a story makes a difference. But in the blog, I talk about how sometimes business leaders, and I think we talked about this on the last episode, how's business going? Well, if you're having a good day, business is going great. And if you're not, business may not. Your perspective hits those. And so it was important to depend on the numbers. In the Olympics, in the men's 100 meter sprint, depending on where you were sitting and how you looked at it, it might have looked like the United States won, or it might have looked like Jamaica won.
So now my wife is assured Jamaica won.
Uh-huh.
She's just like, and I'm trying to explain, it's not the leg, it's not the arm, it's the chest.
Right.
And still people are going to look at that to say.
But it came down to a computer imagery that clarified 5/1000ths of a second between the chests, right? I think it was 5 or 5/100. I think it was 5/1000ths, but it was really, really tight. Same with swimming. It comes down to the length of your fingers.
Who has the longer finger?
And so the importance is that you have, for those types of measurements, that you have the infrastructure in place. So the underwater cameras, the lines, they have almost like an infrared computer, visual at the line, so you can see that slight edge of the nod, and the lean on the running. So, but you have to be, in those situations, you have to trust those numbers. The numbers have to be true. In gymnastics, we have Jordan Childs' bronze medal, which, is what? And I'm like, well, those numbers, when they flashed on the screen, told one story. But the numbers don't always tell the whole story. And if a number doesn't look right, you should question it. And so the United States team was right. They couldn't challenge the executionary score, but they could challenge the score for content and difficulty. I have been a judge for what's called indoor winter guard. So in the marching bands, you have the flags and the rifles, and they go out and do their thing. And I judge that. I used to judge those competitions, but then in the wintertime, the dancers and the flags and the rifles come inside into the gym. And I had 5 categories that I had to judge on for an effect. And I have a range in which I can score you. But there is subjectivity to that. Because if you're the first out, well, I don't want to necessarily give you the top score, because what if somebody else comes that's better than you and I've already scored you at the top? So generally we score kind of in the middle. And so with scores like the execution you score in figure skating or in gymnastics or the rhythmic gymnastics where it's or the synchronized swimming where there is an artistic element of it, you have some subjectivity. And your brain, we were talking about this with Ben this morning in one of my cohorts, the brain will focus on what your bias, almost your bias is. If I'm playing slug bug with Danny in the car, my brain's going to focus to find a Volkswagen Beetlebug, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. If I'm not, 14 of them could go by me and I'm never going to even see them.
So wait a second. You call it what?
Slug bug.
My son is here. Punch cars. It has a no, but I've never heard the slug bug.
Yeah, that's what he calls it with me. So, and he likes to slug.
There you go, Mom. Okay.
I'm like, yeah. And so anyway, so the brain will filter when you're talking numbers. Let's talk. So if we go to the polls, right, and you hear a lot about the polls, or you'll hear the candidates. Well, the economy's doing well in certain things, in certain measurements, or no, it's not doing well in other measurements, or in the polls you have it this way or that way. Depending on how you set up your data pool, that you're, like who you interview, right, for a poll. If it's equally distributed, Republican, Independent, Democrat, then you have what's considered to be a fair poll. If you're 75% one way and 25% the other way, it's a skewed poll, right?
Yes.
Because your data is off. But when you're getting in your business and you're, getting either finance information or you're getting operational information, when you do the analytics, we've collected all the data, now we're harnessing its power, right? As you said last week, depending on how you filter it, depending on how you group it, may alter the narrative of the story that the data is telling you. And you have to be careful that you are true to the definition of what your measurement really is supposed to be. So the numbers are the numbers, but you can
Manipulate the numbers.
adjust them, and you have to be careful with that.
Stacey Bradley Goodman, those are the numbers. Tim, how can people find information out about you guys?
Sure. On all major social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, under Origamic Solutions. Our personal pages, Stacey Bradley Goodman, Tim Pisani, as well as our website and newsletter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Origamic Solutions, they put it's understanding business. It's the numbers don't lie, people do. But, you can manipulate and massage.
Lying.
They're not lying, okay. As they
But
say
they're
down,
sensitive.
they say down south, it's storytelling.